and welcome to Cedar Focus. Today we're speaking to Johnny about co-production. Hi Johnny.
Hi Ciara, how are you?
Not too bad. Would you like to introduce yourself and your role in Cedar?
So I'm Johnny Turnbull. I'm Head of Organisational Development here at Cedar, and part of my role is responsible for our user engagement. And really what that means is our user forum and how we involve users of Cedar services in everything we do. But more importantly, I have a role within our co-production efforts on how we co-produce here at Cedar.
That's fantastic. We do celebrate Co-Production Week in Cedar, but would you be able to tell us what co-production means?
Yeah, so co-production has so many different terms to so many different people, but in its essence, co-production really means the process of producing something together. So it's where multiple parties can come together, collaborate and contribute their resources, knowledge and their expertise really on a shared outcome. And it's around using experience as expertise. And here at Cedar, what that means for us is co-production and disability is very much around involving people with disabilities as equal partners. So they can get involved with our staff, they can get involved with our services and help shape some of the design of our services, our programs, how we communicate and really how we do what we do. So it's very much around making sure that there's an equal role and an equal power for everyone, and that has to start from the beginning rather than at the end of something where that's a consultation. So in essence, co-production is about making sure that everybody is involved from the beginning of a process.
So from the design part of any kind of project then, just from the very start. That's interesting. In terms of getting people actively involved in that, does the user forum, we've spoken about the user forum before in the podcast, does that play a big part in these kind of activities?
Well, definitely, our user forum are very much at the heart of everything that we do in terms of co-production. So we have a co-production strategy here in Cedar, and it's at 3 levels. So strategic level, operational and service level. And the user forum are heavily involved in all of that. And I suppose 2024, 2025 was a very busy year for everything we've done in terms of user engagement, user involvement. I'm going to use a lot of terms here, so I'm trying to not make this as jargonistic as possible. But our user engagement and user involvement looked at around, responding to public consultations around policy, looking at disability or things that affect the health and social care of disabled people. And our user forum have also been involved in our recruitment processes. So they have a role in looking at kind of the values-based piece of who comes into Cedar and who works with us. And they also then have a role then in terms of advocacy. So making us think a bit differently around how we do things here and also how things are done externally as well. So they have a very ambitious programme of work through that, but also co-production is around challenging all of that, and it's bringing around meaningful change. So in terms of what they've done in the last year was the co-production working group that we had facilitated an engagement event, and we had around 70 plus people from across Cedar services coming out just to find out a bit more about what we do in terms of involving people, and also what we do in terms of the advocacy piece. And we also brought along some speakers from health and social care, so experts in their field to hear around what we've been doing, to hear what they've been doing. And from that then, it's really made us think a bit differently around how we do user involvement and how we do advocacy here in Cedar. And I suppose at an organisational level, they've also helped us draft questions for our recruitment process. So involving service users in those recruitment processes and working alongside our HR team, we've co-produced and co-designed then what questions service users will ask on the panel. And at a service level as well, they've also been heavily involved in our easy read. So making sure that literature that we produce and the literature that other organisations produce is done in a manner that is accessible for everyone. As I said at the beginning there, about using jargon, we all go into our own speak, and as an organisation we have a particular way of communicating, as does health and social care, and what we want to do is to make sure that people can fully understand what they're being communicated with and about, and can actively be involved without any barriers. So they've been involved in that. They've also been involved in our awareness weeks. So we had Autism Acceptance Week, March to April. And part of the theme for that week was co-produced by a couple of service users as well. So it's really getting at the heart of what we do here in Cedar, and also informing our language, as I've mentioned as well.
That's great. That's great. Would you be able to tell me, what are what are the future plans for the co-produced projects? Is there anything sort of coming up?
Yeah, certainly. So I suppose for me, one of the first things we need to do is we need to really understand what co-production is and what it isn't. And it's very, very tricky for people to understand. And I do use these words quite often. So co-production, co-design, Cocoa Pops, Coco Chanel. Nobody really knows the difference. But the tricky part is it's easy to say what it isn't, but it's finding out what it actually is. And that's the space that we're trying to get to. So as an organisation, we want to make co-production as simple as possible. We want to make sure that we're involving people at the very beginning rather than at the end, as I mentioned, where that's seen as a consultation. So our plans really for the incoming year are we want to then be co-producing some of our strategies and also our research framework. So we want to get service users involved in our research for the organisation. So people with autism, people with brain injury, people with a learning disability to really shape what our research needs and priorities are for the future. We also want to get more people involved in developing our awareness week so that we're co-producing the theme and the examples of what good looks like in terms of all of those disabilities and really having their perspective as opposed to, as an organisation, this is what we think. We also want to get our users involved more in inclusive language. So I've mentioned around the easy read side of things. So really turning on its head everything that we do as an organisation, how we communicate, but also how other organisations see us as a benchmark because we've co-produced what that simple language looks like. And finally then is around our awareness training. So, the best experts are those with lived experience to talk around, the challenges and also the opportunities with particular disabilities. So going out to organisations, and that's something we've worked towards, is making sure that we have user involvement through co-production and co-delivery of the training. There I am using all those code words. But in essence, what I'm trying to say is having everyone involved in the training and the delivery to really empower people to support individuals with disability.
Yes, we actually had a member of the user forum team on talking about those kind of training programs that were going out to external organisations, and the response that they had from that was really fantastic, and it really does raise awareness throughout the community then as well as it goes forward. In terms of having those kind of meetings that you would have, the initial meetings, I would assume that they're very accessible for people. I think I know that recently there's been some Microsoft Teams meeting and things like that. So would those be kind of hybrid meetings that you would have in terms of the initial stages of the design of any kind of project?
Yeah, and I suppose we're trying to make it as accessible as possible, and we recognise if we're doing things online, remove some of those barriers of travel, or perhaps, if we're trying to get everyone involved from across Northern Ireland, it just takes a lot of that pressure out for people as well. So yeah, we'd have a blended approach of in person and also online. And what we found in the last year is the co-production working group were keen to meet online and then have a couple of face-to-face meetings too, just maybe when we were getting to the final stages of a piece of work such as our co-production event. So yeah, it'll be online and in person, and the big ask for us is we want to get as many people involved in co-production as possible so that it's not just the same few people that are carrying this forward, because everyone has a role to play. And I suppose the big quote that we use is from a guy called Charlton, and it's nothing about us without us. So we want to make sure that everybody has a role in this because we're all part of CEDAR. 2024 to 2025 was a very important year for our co-production efforts. We've been involved in working on feedback from a co-production survey that we carried out, and in that was just really about understanding the different levels to what co-production is and what it isn't. And in the last year, it's been very much around giving our service users a genuine voice and influence, and they've been able to do this through collaborating with staff on projects, contributing to policy discussions, or being involved in even some of the design for our service pathways and our inclusive language strategy, as well as disability awareness training. And it very much is around shaping our projects around their service needs and what real life for disabled people looks like and needs for promoting meaningful inclusion. And our priorities this year have been very much around strategic level, so where they've been involved in delivering workshops and training, to then looking at an operational level where they've been involved in peer review projects or informing housing disability guides, and then at a service level where it's looking at co-producing easy read documents and making sure that everything that we do is a lot more accessible, both internally and externally, to really promote around greater inclusivity.
Johnny, what's the difference between user involvement and co-production when it comes to the individual?
That's a very good question, Ciara, and I suppose it is challenging and it is a very grey area. So there is a distinct difference. So user engagement it happens every day, where co-production doesn't happen as often. It's a little bit more rare. And I suppose when we talk about user involvement, it's often informing or consulting. So when you're informing somebody of a change, you're really telling them what you're doing for them. When you're consulting, you're telling them what you're doing to them. And when you're co-producing, it's what you're doing with. So there's distinct changes then in terms of the power that an individual will have over the circumstances or over the piece of work that they're consulting on. Quite often user involvement will be depicted across either a ladder or a line, and co-production is always at the end. So it's either at the top at the pinnacle point, so that's the highest end, or as you go across the line, it sits there as the highest end. And it's something that if you get all those other stages right, co-production very much then will happen naturally, so that at that point the person has control over what their involvement is, they have equal say in what the changes are, and they'll have an opportunity, really the same as the person that is leading on that particular project, to have a choice and control. And co-production is very much around equal partnership.
Brilliant. So as I said at the start of the episode, we do celebrate Co-Production Week. Could you give us an idea of what's happening this year?
Yeah, certainly, Ciara. So this year, Co-Production Week takes place on the 30th of June to the 4th of July. And the theme is around innovation through co-production. And we're very excited that we can use this as an opportunity for us to showcase some of the great co-production work that has taken place throughout the year. In terms of our living options, one of our sites in Bangor, Croft, have just recently reimagined their garden space, and they had a landscaper come in and co-produce them with residents and tenants then what they would like in their garden. And this is a fantastic opportunity really to showcase what good co-production looks like. So I'll not take away any spoilers from that, because you might see in the media some of those bits and pieces coming up, and if not, visit our website to have a look. But you can see where co-production has come to bear in our living options. In terms of, as well then, through our user forum side of things, we've co-delivered training through Microsoft Teams, and that's really around skilling up our user forum on moving on to a different platform for communication. And this is very exciting for us because it's opening up more opportunities and more accessibility, as well as then our service pathways, where we've got several graphics that really depict what we do at Cedar, so that it's easy for the public to understand who we are and what we do, but more importantly for us to talk from a place of pride as to what we do as well. And that has been a labour of love, because it's taken quite a while for us to get to this point, but it shows true co-production and making sure that it's what people want and what people need. Finally then, our inclusive language strategy that we're going to be launching over the summer months, where it helps us as an organisation understand how we talk about people with disabilities. So making sure that we're getting terminology right, making sure that we're supporting people in our communications in a way that we should. And again, that was co-produced with a number of service users and staff. So there's a lot for us to be excited about. There's a lot for us to highlight great innovation, and we're looking forward to showcasing that throughout the week, as well as then just bringing on board as many people to our co-production working group in the future.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I mean, I know that Cedar's vision is an inclusive society for all. And what I'm getting from all of this, in terms of the way you've explained co-production, is that it is all about inclusion and opportunity for people to be heard in a way that traditionally they might not have been. So it is all very innovative. And if any of the listeners would like to hear more about the work that Cedar's doing, they can visit the website www.cedar-foundation.org, and I will put all of the other contact information in the show notes below. Thank you so much, Johnny, for having a chat with us. We look forward to hear from you again if you would like to join us again. But yes, sounds like a very exciting summer ahead.
Thanks very much, Ciara. Thanks for having me along today. Look forward to chatting with you again soon.
We hope you enjoyed listening. If you would like further information on this or other Cedar services, please visit www.cedar-foundation.org. We can also be found on Facebook, X, Instagram and LinkedIn. We hope you join us next time for another episode of Cedar Focus.